Hi ladies, this is Alex with Lippy Supply. I'm going to do a how to apply tutorial. So I have some cards here and I'm going to show you how I do this from start to finish. So I have a instant dry clear nail polish and I am just going to apply within the lips here and show you how I do this. So we are coming out with the pre-colored ones. It is mid-August 2017 currently. I know that some of you ladies are waiting for the pre-colored cards. These are honestly, I think, still fabulous to use for sending to customers. I think the other cards are great as far as doing events, things like that. But these to me are perfect if someone wants to sample some colors. You can easily send them out. So I'm going to use apple cider since it's a hard to apply color. And then we're going to do something, I'm going to choose kind of the harder ones, I guess. And we'll do mauve ice. So you shake up the color like you would. These are my personal ones. I'm okay using them. They are not my testers. So the way I do this is I dip it in and get as much product as I can on there. And I apply, I do it in 4 sections. So I trace the outline of the lips and do it to there. Dip it back in. Trace it again. I am barely touching the card, you guys. I am ever so gently. I'm not even actually touching the card. I am just lightly dragging the wand across it. Do you see if I push down on it? Do you see how it pulls the color? You don't want, I'm going to show you over here. So I'm not touching it right over here. So do you see the difference? If you are dragging your wand across it and applying pressure, you're probably going to get more streaks compared to if you just lightly, very lightly, kind of pull your wand across the top. So I do it again in 4 sections. So I just trace. If you get something like outside of the lip, you can just use like your fingernail and kind of, you know, wipe it off. If it has dried, you can use the Oops Remover and kind of get it off that way. So again, you can see I'm dipping it back in the product multiple times, getting a lot of product on the card, doing it in thick layers like that, kind of mist over here, and just going back. So usually I'll do it like that. I'll come check. This one's still drying. And so I'll just fan them to get them to dry. I know a lot of women say they let them dry overnight. I don't do that. Personally, I don't have time to let them dry overnight and do multiple layers. So I just kind of fan them. If you're having a hard time keeping a light hand or anything like that, you're more than welcome to apply another coat of the clear polish in between layers. I don't do that personally. That's not how I do my Lippy cards. But I do know some women that do, just if they're having a harder time. So it's dry enough where I can touch it and it doesn't come off. So I'm going to go back through. And again, I just dipped it in and got a ton of product on it. I'm not touching the card at all. I'm just gently applying and painting. Again, just very light-handed. Just dipping and pulling it out. And going about it that way. If you have a lighter spot, just re-dip it and kind of give that a little bit of a dot and kind of blend it out. Just very, very light-handed. Again, if you have a hard time being light-handed, you might have to do more layers, but you can use this in between as well, your nail polish in between to help if you're having a hard time being light-handed. So again, just really simply just kind of going in and pulling it across and just leaving all that product on there. Some colors do take more layers. It's really what you're comfortable with. If you'd like to leave them slightly transparent to kind of pull through the natural lip color, you're more than welcome to. Another thing to keep in mind when you're doing these cards is sometimes to us they look a little streaky or they don't look complete. And a good way to kind of test is to take your card and actually hold it against your lips or your skin. I don't know if you can see that compared to the back. The back may look more streaky and uneven, but once you actually put it against your skin, it doesn't look as streaky or necessarily blotchy. So you can do as many layers as you are comfortable with. It's really however you want to do it. They're your cards. Some ladies like them more transparent. Other ladies prefer to have them darker. But again, it's just whatever you feel comfortable with. They're your cards. They're what you're sending out to your customers. So it's, again, just what you're comfortable with. And as far as the names, writing the names in the upper corner, I just use a fine tip Sharpie. That's what I use to kind of write names on there. So that one's not totally dry, but I feel comfortable doing a third layer. I always do, for myself personally, I like to do 3 layers. Some cards I've noticed I've had to do 4. Some that are a little bit harder colors to apply. Usually, again, the matte ones. Like, what's harder to apply on the lips? So if you just see right here, I pushed down and pulled it on there. And so I'm just going to dip it back in and take some product and just kind of fill that dot in and leave it thicker right there. So if you do streak it, you can just kind of cover it up. You can't really tell, again, on this side that happened. That's just a really easy way if you accidentally make a mistake. And once you get comfortable with them, once you get comfortable doing them, they're pretty easy, pretty quick. Like this would be something that I would do if I had a customer who was like, I want to sample the colors, but I'm not sure, I'm torn between, you know, these 3 colors. I'd be like, well, I can swatch them for you and send them out to you. The way I do it is I offer one card, I charge $1 for each card. The reason that I do that personally is because this prevents women from saying, well, I would like all 36 colors, or I would like all of these colors. I want to sample all of these colors. It allows me to say, well, it's $1 per card and I'll send them out to you. And then whenever you purchase a color, however much you paid will go towards as a credit towards whatever you purchased. So if I were to send these 2 to a customer, I would charge them $2. I wouldn't charge shipping because you can send it in an envelope with a stamp. And then if she were to purchase Mauve Ice, instead of charging $25 plus tax and shipping, I would charge her $23. So I would just take that $2 off of the top and give her a $2 discount, and she could just throw the cards away after using them. And that is how I would go about it. So I just very, very, very lightly touch, and then I just take my clear nail polish at the end, and with a ton of product, I don't wipe any product off. I just go ahead and you want to make sure that these are dry, because if they're not really dry, it will pull the color. Or if you're pushing hard on here, it will pull the color off of them and on to your wand. But if they're dry enough, it'll seal them. And then I usually leave these out overnight. I will leave them to dry. And again, leaving them to dry, you want to do at least, I think at least overnight. And then if it's hot out, if the weather is extremely hot, or if you're in more of a humid climate, I suggest putting wax paper between the cards to keep from sticking. And if it's not super hot, if it's kind of cool, but you still have only given them overnight to dry, I still recommend doing it. If you leave them out for, say you have an event and you swatch all of them and you leave them out for closer to 48 hours plus like this to dry, or little trick, putting them in the freezer helps the process of allowing them not to stick. If it's an event and you want to be totally safe and cautious, I do recommend putting wax paper between them to protect your cards just from sticking. You don't want them to get hot. You don't want them to, if it hasn't been enough dry time. I can't guarantee, because I have only tested with certain clear polishes. So if you're using a gel polish to be safe and just protect your own work, I do recommend using the wax paper to prevent sticking, just for kind of insurance for your cards, and sending them to someone. You don't want someone to get them and be like, well, they were stuck together and they ripped apart. So just cutting a small piece of wax paper, it's pretty easy. And you can just, like I said, slide it in between and put the cards together if they haven't had the appropriate amount of dry time. So thanks, you guys. Please let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to drop them in the comments. Feel free to contact us. Our Facebook group is Lippy Supply. We also have a Facebook page, Lippy Cards. We do more posting in the Lippy Supply group, so feel free to come join. If you have any questions about the pre-colored ones, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I am always happy to help anyone with any questions. So thanks, you guys.